All right. Hi, everyone. Just gonna check this. Yep, cool. All right. Sorry, I'm being distracted already. All right, guys. Just pop in the comments if you can hear me, see me all right, all the rest. Just so I know that I'm not talking to myself here. Although most people watch the recordings on a Facebook Live, so that is fine if I am just talking to myself. I just like to know if you can hear me, that's all. Just so it should be fine though. I've got a fan on in the background. It's still really hot here in Queensland. It went cool over Easter was still pretty warm, but we did have a few days of cool. And now I'm back to having the fan on every night, which is ridiculous. We're, nearing middle of April and it's not even cooling down. So anyway, all right, thanks Jennifer for letting me know you can hear me okay. Don't know, you guys are probably warming up over there in Canada, whereas we're trying to cool down here in Australia, and I cannot wait for it to cool down, honestly. I'm in Queensland, of course, so it is hot. So I think some of the southern states are finally getting a bit cooler. So my husband's in WA, which he said is freezing over there, but he's like west, so he's kind of in the desert area. So all right, so today we are talking about creative thinking. Heat spell nearly 30 degrees. Oh yeah, that's hot. Oh yeah, nice. I do like the cooler weather. All right, so today we're talking about creative thinking. Charlene's here too. All right, no worries, Charlene. Thanks for joining me. These Tuesday chats, there's something I want to sort of try and do it every Tuesday, hopefully. Kind of just have a half-hour chat sort of thing. Just something to keep everyone inspired. Every now and again, like last week, I did a little charcoal drawing of some eggs. So every now and again, I'll throw in a little demonstration, but it's mainly just a chat. So yeah, you can always message me or put in the comments other things that you'd like me to sort of talk about at different times. But yeah, so at the moment, I'm just I'm trying to write some regular blog posts as well. So I'm going to keep these chats kind of relevant to those as well. So it gives me something to talk about. So I did just post a blog. So this is pretty much where I'm getting all this information from today. So you can go to my main website, which is kerrydixonart.com, and actually go back over this if it's something that interests you at all. And if you're in the membership, I will have a download of this in there as well, if it's something that interests you. So creative thinking, I'll just read it. It's creative thinking is the ability to generate new and innovative ideas by making connections between seemingly unrelated concepts or by approaching problems from different angles. So it involves the use of imagination, originality, and divergent thinking to come up with novel solutions or perspectives. So in other words, if you're stuck on a problem, now you don't need to be an artist or anything to do creative thinking, but it really does help sometimes if you're stuck on something and you're trying to plan something and you're sort of stuck on a problem or whatever and you can't seem to figure it out. That's when you need to start to get a bit creative about the way you're thinking about it. So there's quite a few different ways to do creative thinking, but I just have focused on three that I thought sort of were the best. There's mind mapping, reframing, and creative flow. Okay, so we'll get into mind mapping a little bit more because that's probably the one I like the best. But I'll just run through what reframing is. So reframing is looking at a problem or situation from a new perspective. That can help to come up with creative solutions or ideas that you may not have considered before. It's a great way to explore new perspectives and possibilities, which will bring on more creative ideas to work with. So reframing is if like you're really looking at a problem and you're stuck, you need to come up with different ways to look at it. So different frames of looking. So you need to identify what the problem is and then define the problem, and then think about how you're looking at it, and then think about a different way, a new frame to look at it. So like you look at it from maybe the person, a different perspective, so a different person's way. You know how like you end up in an argument or something, and then you've got to put yourself in the other person's shoes and look at it from their perspective. So I've always sort of tried to do that throughout my whole life, actually. So I'm usually a pretty happy-go-lucky person, and I always try and think of their situation and what could be causing them to be being a bit nasty or whatever. You don't know what other people have going on in their lives. So, but with reframing, yeah, if you're stuck on something, maybe put yourself in a different perspective, the different historical or cultural perspectives. There's all different ways to reframe. So that's what that's about. Just sit back and look at it differently. Okay. And then creative flow. This one is more of a state of getting into a creative flow, which as artists, we do know what that feeling is when you just sort of drift off, and it's like the best time. It's where like art is good for your own well-being, and mindset is when you can get into these little states of creativity where you don't even think about anything else that's going on in the world, just what you're doing. And that then opens up ways to think of things differently as well, again, if you're stuck on something. So I don't know, some of you guys may have read this book, but Big Magic is a amazing book. So if you haven't already read it, definitely get yourself a copy of it. It's by Elizabeth Gilbert, and she goes into a lot about creative thinking and the creative flow. And she has, I love her idea. She says that inspiration and ideas are floating around the universe, and they stop at different people. And that's when you get inspiration or an amazing thought about something, like, oh my God, that would be brilliant. Like, she's a writer, so she thinks of it as a great story will come to her. And as an artist, maybe an idea for a painting or a collection series, something like that. Or as an entrepreneur, maybe some sort of business idea. But like she said, if you don't take action on it, it'll stick, that inspiration or that idea will sit with you for a while. But if you don't take action on it, it goes off and finds someone else that will take action. So she looks at it as different ideas and inspiration that they come to you and leave again. Or they come to you and you actually take action and you do it and you create it and you bring it to life. So it's like they're all floating around waiting to be brought to life. So like she said, some might only hit you for a minute and keep moving, whereas others will sit with you for 6 months and wait for you to take action, which I thought was a really great way to actually think about these ideas and inspiration that floats around us. Because I know as a creative, my brain, I'm always thinking of things, always. And if I don't write them down straight away, I'll forget it. So I have to sort of keep and I don't take action on everything I think of, but you know, as an artist, as most of you guys are, you probably have all these ideas of different paintings and drawings you want to do, or once you sort of progress, you'll start to look at if you want to enter, like have a solo exhibition, all that sort of stuff, then you'll want to come up with collections and series of work and all of that. So I just have a list of things. So and again with my business side as well, like with the art box and this membership, the membership I have everything. It's just ideas that come to you, and if you don't take action, they go off and find someone else. But in regards to creative flow, she's got a passage in the book here. You may know this feeling. It's the feeling you get when you've made something wonderful or done something wonderful, and when you look back at it later, all you can say is, I don't even know where that came from. You can't repeat it, you can't explain it, but it felt as if you're being guided. So that is, yeah, essentially that sums up creative flow. It's just something that you get into and you just, time goes and you really feel like you're getting it done, whatever that is. So a few ways I've got in my blog here to try and get into that headspace is to set aside dedicated time for creative work. So you really need to, I always say this to my students as well, try and have your own space where you can go and just totally focus on your creative work if you are doing stuff like that. But all of this does work as well if you're doing anything and trying to problem solve. So it could be a specific time of day, a designated day of the week, or even just a couple of hours each week, something where that is my art time or my creative time. And it helps your brain to go, right, this is what we're focusing on. And you need to turn these off and lock the door or tell your family that's my time, don't interrupt me. So that's the second one, is eliminate distractions, because if you can't get into that creative flow state if you're being distracted all the time. So I know myself, I always have my phone and other things around, and like an email will come in or my husband will be talking to me outside and I'm like, what are you saying? I can't hear you. It's really hard to not get distracted. So that's something you really have to really be mindful of to avoid all distractions. And also in that creative flow state, you need to experiment and take risks. So that's when I think we sometimes get really into that headspace, because I know for me, when I do a lot of my drawings in like wildlife art in pastel and that, but every now and again, it's good to just have creative playtime where, you might try watercolor, or I've been looking at videos on collage because I thought that looks like fun as well, or ink, just different mediums, just set aside some little playthings to do that you don't care about the outcome, like you're just experimenting. And again, when you get into that, starting to throw paint around and all that, that really helps to just take your mind off things as well. And again, keep a notebook or journal, because when you do get into that really like that mindset, that flow's happening, sometimes you start to think of all these amazing things and you need something near you to jot it down, because that's when everything opens up for you and you can start to think clearly. And that's why there's a great for problem solving as well. And you do start to look at things a bit differently when you're in that headspace. And yeah, it's a good idea to have somewhere just to write it down. All right, just let me check any comments here. Okay, cool. So now I wanted to talk about mind mapping a bit more. That's the third one that I picked for different ways to different creative thinking ideas. There's quite a few. If you search creative thinking, you'll see there's quite a few different ones there. But I find mind mapping is probably the one I would use the most. If I'm sort of want to really map out an idea or yeah, if you've got a problem you wanted to brainstorm. So I think by writing it, it's very organic, I suppose, is how it is. So you just start writing and can extend onto that. So you start with the central idea. I'll show you a few examples in a second. And then you branch out. And as you're sort of planning it and branching out, you can see certain things might connect to another thing. And it's just really good it helps keep it flexible and, like I said, really organic. And you can also make them really pretty and use colors and and images, that sort of stuff. I find if I want to mind map something, it's not to make pretty. It's just to get it out of my head down onto paper. So just let me share my screen, because I did have a couple of things I got in. Hold on, share screen. Share screen. There we go. Okay, so I just got a couple off of Canva. If you go in, Canva's amazing, honestly. I've got the paid version, which is not that expensive, just because I use it a bit. I use Photoshop a lot, but Canva's very quick to just have a design for a Pinterest post or an Instagram post or something like that. So it does save a lot of time because you're not designing from scratch. You can use a template. So if you're even in the free version, if you go into Canva and type in mind mapping or mind maps, you'll get a heap of different. You see here, there's heaps of different ones to come up. But these were just a couple I thought would be good, sample for you guys. Hold on, I'm just trying to find something. Okay. So there's so many things you could mind map for. So I wrote a few down here. So you could, well, this one here, if you had your yearly goals, I like the way this was broken up into study, work, and your body. So you could change that to your art, work if you work, or family, like holidays, whatever. And then you see how, so you start with your main central point, and then you break it off of that, okay? And then it breaks again. So in, like, say, this study, read 12 books, learn a new skill. So then you would break that again, as in maybe a few different skills that you have in mind. And then maybe you would break those skills down to how you'd go about researching it or getting involved or learning that skill. Same with the books. You could then break that into maybe the type of books you wanted to read, whether that was fiction, non-fiction, you know, or horror or romance, whatever, and then break it down again into the actual names of some books. So you can see how it just continues to keep growing. Another one I had here was this one. I thought was not too bad as well, especially relating to art. So say if you had a solo exhibition you were wanting to plan, so you could just run around with the what, where, how, who, why, when, you know, those 6 common questions, and then break them down. So into the what is, don't know if there's a problem, but let's try the where. So yeah, like your target market, where you were going to hold your exhibition. So you could write down a few different galleries maybe and then go and actually figure out, go and talk to them, because this is the initial planning stage. So with the where, yeah, there might be 3 galleries you're thinking of, or there might be an art society that lets you hold exhibitions, or you may even want to just book your own warehouse or something, or you know, shop. There might be an empty shop you can rent for a week or something like that. So and then how, sort of, whether you're going to fund it yourself, whether you're going to apply for a grant, all that sort of stuff. So these here don't really relate as much to the art exhibition, but you can see what I mean by you can just break it right down. Like when's pretty simple, start and launch date. why, you know, your goals, what you want that exhibition to be about. So I also, see, this will come up. Hold on, I might just unshare. Share that there. I did a couple of mind maps myself that I just wanted to show you because it relates totally to art. Okay, so this might be a bit more what you're after. Let me just go. Yep. Okay, so I want to do an exhibition. As everyone knows, I just haven't got around to doing it. The first thing for me for the exhibition, I've got to put in a proposal. So, but this was just a mind map, and you can really see how it can branch off. So the center point is my solo exhibition. And then I've got like theme of the exhibition, what I'm going to call it. Then when you have the exhibition, of course, you're going to have the reception. So you've got your setup, you take down food, drinks, like these could branch out again, even more, like what type of food I plan, what type of drinks I plan. I could then make a separate mind map just for the reception. Like this is the overall view. You could then break these down into smaller ones. My advice is also do it on a big sheet of paper if you're doing it this way. You can get apps, mind mapping apps that you can just type it all in there, but I like just a big A3 sheet of paper, and you just put the main one right in the middle and branch out from there. So again, with the reception, like the invites, make a Facebook event, make postcards, video if you want to video stuff, sales, whether you're going to pay for advertising, how much you're charging, of course, and then like over here, publicity, if you could contact, maybe there's magazines, newspapers local to where you are, promotion, then like that's where you go into all of your making regular posts, showing behind the scenes, building up for the exhibition, build the excitement for it. Usually you start a good month before the actual date to build the excitement with all your social media stuff. Merchandise is always good to have if you have an exhibition. So I put down, like, you could maybe look at tea towels and greeting cards. Then I had bags, which I broke then into totes and little zip bags. And then the paintings themselves, framing, how many, you know, you want your labels, you've got to deliver the work, who's hanging the work. There's so much that is just for one sort of exhibition. And then I broke this down, the theme and title down. Like I said, you could break all of these into their own separate mind map once you've got it sort of planned out like this. But then I broke down, trying to figure out what paintings I want to do for the exhibition as it is. I went to Fraser Island, took a heap of photos, and I've been through the photos, and honestly, I've now got, I think there's 6 different categories. I could probably do an exhibition on every single one separately, but I want to try and combine them into one. So that's where I'm calling it Colours of Gari. I've got colour and charcoal here with a question mark, so I'm not even sure if I'm going to do that, but it's something I've sort of just put on here as a thought, just getting it out of my head. I want to do a story behind it where it's not just the finished pieces. I'd like to do sort of let people get inside my mind of like the sketches and bits about like how I started, like some video of my drawing over there on Fraser Island, sounds, like really make it immersive sort of thing. And then so pastel, of course, is my main medium. So this is where I broke up, like definitely doing dingoes. I've got some bird stuff there, the wreck on Fraser, took some great photos there. So just breaking it down, trying to figure out how many paintings and what they would be. So none of these will make sense to you, but what I've got written on these ones, I know that's sort of I know the image that I've written it for. So yeah, trying to figure out large, small. Then I probably should have another branch off here to do with gallery. So you've got to sort of know your gallery to know the space you're working in, to know how many paintings it's going to hold and what's going to look good in there. So I already know I want to go to Gattaca's, so I would have a branch saying Gattaca's gallery. Then I need to do a proposal, so that would be a branch. Check out wall size, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, so just let me come back over here. So you can see how that mind mapping really can get it out of your head organically and just start throwing lines everywhere. So like I said, I like to work on a big bit of A3 paper, just any scrap paper is fine. I find I need A3 by the time I spread it out. So yeah, there's so many different things you can do it for. So say making money as an artist. So you put right in the middle dollar signs to inspire you, and then branch out different ways, not probably ways that there are to make money. I'd research different ways there are to make money as an artist. There are so many, but I'd branch out ones that you know yourself are ones that you would like to do. So then, you know, you might look at merchandise, you might look at commissions. So they would be little branches. You might look at market stalls, maybe. Surface pattern designs is another one, and branch out sort of little ones like that, and then figure out, okay, how am I going to go about this? And it just, your mind starts thinking of all these ways, and you'll end up, like I said, you saw mine, you'll end up with little branches everywhere. It's just a really good way to problem solve, but also to see what's in your head. So art competitions is another one. You could do it for your ideal customer. If you're trying to work out who your ideal customer is, that's another thing. So you could put right in the middle, like customer, and then branch out the women, male, age, you know, what they do they work, are they retired, do they have kids, all that sort of stuff. Break it down, try and figure out exactly who your customer is, which also could be also your niche as well, who you're going to target with your work. Because if you try and target everyone, you're targeting no one, sort of thing. So especially the more you get into trying to sell your work, you do need to focus on a particular person, especially if you start doing Facebook ads and creating sort of content. You want to target it to a person as though you're talking to your ideal person. Okay, so that goes, yeah, further along if you're getting right into it. But say if you want to do a market store, you could do a mind map for that, what you need to take, like your tent and all that, your setup, how you're going to hang your work, you know, everything right down to how you're going to collect money if you make a sale, all that. New ideas, so you could, yeah, do a mind map of new painting ideas, stuff like that. You could just do it as to plan your month out. So at the start of each month, you could sit there and plan out what you want to achieve in the month. Blog ideas, social media planning, website building, your artist biography. It's another one. So you could put you in the middle and sort of start writing little bits about you all around, which would branch out, and they would probably become interconnected as well. So yeah, it is a really great way to get things sort of nutted out in your head. Or I find I have to write things down. All right, let me check the comments. So they're the sort of three main ways I wanted to share about creative thinking. They're the ones I thought would be, you know, the most used. They're probably ones I don't know that I use. Oh, reframing I do use, I suppose, without even thinking about it. Mind mapping I definitely like to do if I really want to get stuck into something. And then, of course, creative flow. That's something we all try and get into. Here are a few minutes. Hi, Di. Hey, everyone. Maybe a different conversation. GST invoicing. Just close my company. What are you allowed to do as a hobbyist? Yes, I did. That's a totally different conversation, but that's all right. As a hobbyist, I think you're allowed just the. I did look into this a lot when I first started with a market stall. You are allowed to earn a certain amount. I'm pretty sure it would just be here in Australia anyway, the 18,000 or 19,000, whatever it is, that you can earn in any job tax-free. So I would say that would apply as a hobbyist. But yeah, and GST, you've got to be earning over 75,000 a year to worry about GST. But anyway, you can apply for an ABN. So you can have an ABN business if you want. You don't need to apply for GST at all. So yeah, you could just be a sole trader with an ABN if you want. But as a hobbyist, yeah, I think it would just double check. I'm not a tax guy, but I'm pretty sure it's like as long as you're earning under that tax-free threshold, then you don't have to worry about it. Okay, so and as a hobbyist, 18,000, that's not bad. That pays for your art supplies, definitely. It's just if you want to take it further and make it more of a job, like with commissions and all that sort of stuff. And that's the thing as an artist, it's very hard to make money on one thing. Usually we have to do a million things to bring income in. Okay, so you can never just rely on just painting sales alone, unless you're at a level that your paintings are selling for $10,000, $20,000, then that would probably be all right. But usually we need print sales, painting sales, commissions. I'm doing teaching, you know, market stalls. There's all different ways. Like I said, surface pattern design. You could go on, is it Society 6 or is it Redbubble? Even Spoonflower, they do fabric, so you can create patterns and upload to that. You can create merchandise, like put your designs on phone cases, tote bags, all different things on Society 6 and that. You put that up on the site and then you earn a commission if they sell, sort of thing. So there's a million things to make money. We're very lucky in this day and age, I suppose, with social media and everything. But yeah, but definitely as a, you know, a lot of us are happy just to be hobbyists, just earn enough to pay for our art supplies. But yeah, so definitely don't worry about the GST unless you're earning over 75,000 a year. And I just got an ABN. Once I knew I was going to turn it into a business. I was just a hobbyist. I suppose I just had a market stall and was doing a few commissions here and there. But then once I started the membership, I knew it was going to be a business. So I got an ABN to start with. And now I'm looking at having to get GST. So it's just a process that you just slowly grow. So, all right. So anyway, back to creative thinking. I hope that this little chat has given everyone some ideas. If you're stuck on anything, maybe give some of these a go. Like I said, if you just go over to my main website, kerrydixonart.com, and look under blogs, and you'll see this one's the first one there, and you'll see everything I was talking about and a few more bits and pieces on there than what I talked about. It'd probably be easier to read it than have me explain it. But hopefully seeing those examples of the mind maps, the ones I did, gives you some ideas yourself as well. And yeah, and definitely, like if you're saying, thinking about going more as a business, plan to do a mind map of different ways you're going to make money for it. And I've seen people as well, if they'll do it, work backwards, I suppose. So they'll have a figure in mind, say they want to earn $30,000 in the year with their art. So you put like 30,000 in the middle and then branch out, say 3 lots of 10,000 or whatever, and figure out different ways. So if you're going to make $10,000 in painting sales, how many paintings is that? Like, is that one $10,000 painting you're going to sell this year? Or is it $10,000 paintings? Or is it 2 $5,000 paintings? Or is it like, you know, $100 paintings? That's if my math works right. So you can branch out and work out how you're going to make those. Because when you put $30,000, you think, wow, that's a lot of money to try and make with my art. But if you break it down into different ways, you can make that 30,000. Then it seems more achievable, I suppose. So, yeah. But yeah, it's another way to mind map as well. So, all right. That is it for this Tuesday chat. Don't forget, if you do have other things to chat about that you want me to talk about, I can probably go into more detail about the ABNGST sort of thing I did in the chat as well, if you want. But I might actually even just, maybe I'll put that more in the membership, because I'm not I don't really know. I don't want to give you advice that I have no idea what I'm talking about. All right, everyone does everything, the things you never thought of. Holistic way of looking at something. Yeah, definitely, Jennifer. Yeah, it's just looking at things differently, definitely. And it just helps problem solve. So, all right. Thanks for joining me this morning, guys. And this will be on replay, so you'll be able to watch it wherever. I'll put in membership as well, but it'll just be on my Facebook page too. So anyone in my membership, I'll see you Friday night, hopefully, for our draw along. For everyone else, I'll see you next Tuesday for Tuesday chat. Bye, guys.